The Treasure Experience is a brand new venture. It promises to transform shipwreck exploration by merging the past with the present through a digital security token offering. And with me to explain the experience and how they're doing this offering is Marc, the CEO. So great to have you here. What an interesting company. Tell me about the history of Treasure Experience and what brought you to this point.
Well, in the beginning, my brother and I were in college. We signed on an expedition in 1978. We sold everything. It was an ad, share expenses and profits. So we sold our cars and everything we could, and we signed on for 6 months. We thought we would resume a normal life after that, come back to college and do other things that most people do. And we couldn't. We tried, we couldn't do it. So we stayed in the business. And throughout our experiences brought us from the Caribbean to Southeast Asia, Alaska, Japan, South America. And in that time, wherever we went, whenever we were going on another expedition, people would say, gee, I wish I could go. But, they have lives and they have wives and husbands and families and professions that might not be there when they come back. So all that time we thought, how could we do this? Well, imagine 40 years ago, we didn't have internet. We didn't have satellite communications. But in the last 5 years, we noticed that the satellite communications, the internet, all the speed with which we could deliver the live streaming experience was catching up to our desires. So last year we said, this is it. We've already done 5 years of surveys to basically prepare for these upcoming expeditions to bring our participants on and not have them wait for months and years while we do it. So now we have enough in the queue that we can now start going out and delivering this experience to people. And the key is to be part of the discovery. If you think about it for a moment, you can watch it on television. It already happened, and that's entertaining by itself. But imagine in the moment, if you got to be there and share in that discovery and had some of the bragging rights with us.
Oh my gosh, there's nothing like being there. And see, it must just be a totally different experience. What have been some of your successes? So you've mentioned the Caribbean, some other places you've been. What have you seen?
Well, we were very fortunate in the beginning. We were part of some major Spanish galleon recoveries, although we weren't necessarily there at the high points. Some of those took years and years and years, and we moved on to other things. But when we found our own niche, my brother and I were in Southeast Asia, and we started finding Chinese and Vietnamese and Thai shipwrecks in the South China Sea. And to date, our greatest discovery is a 900-year-old Chinese ship. At the time we found it in 1993, it was the oldest Chinese ship found outside of China. And with it, we have a priceless collection of museum artifacts to display in our museum that we're building here in Florida. That's the shipwreck side. We have others we'd like to talk more about, but some we've signed non-disclosures. We really can't take credit. So I'd love to talk about those. But on the technology side, we found in the mid-90s, we found ourselves overwhelmed with circumstances that current technologies could not provide the solution for. So we were buying off the shelf submersible remotely operated vehicles, today people call drones, and we started building our own. And by the late 90s, we began patenting our own designs. The one we have done now that's most noted is the Nova Ray. You may have seen it on CSI New York in 2007 or Expedition Unknown, very interesting. Atlantis of the Andes, it was done in 2018, and the Nova Ray was on that as well. But we use it today. It's been 7 times more efficient for our purposes, time at sea, but we also license that to an oil company in Malaysia. We return millions of dollars for ourselves and our investors in that technology. So we like that.
So in addition to doing this fascinating exploration, you've got this business side of it too. So talk about the business milestones you've reached.
Well, the main one, the business milestone, I would say the one we can brag about is that we were a very small company. We used to call it a 2.5-man company at the time. And we did this deal with Petronas, a national oil company in Malaysia. I think they had 30,000 employees at the time. We could pivot on a dime. They could pivot on like a battleship. So it was interesting working with them. And we did a license the technology. We did a transfer of the know-how. And we also had an ongoing research and development program with them that it lasted about 3 years. And not only did it return money, but we were able to do an international business deal that would normally overwhelm, I think, anybody else we know. But we just hung in there and got it done.
Yeah.
And we're proud of that. And we know how to do it again. That's the best part.
So the evolution of the business is fascinating. And yes, talk about that and the Treasure Experience 2. What is that? What are the plans for that?
Well, a Treasure Experience 2 is, we originally called it the co-discovery experience, and we found out that wasn't the best name, but everybody loves the term treasure. If I say treasure, you see something in your mind that's valuable. It may not be the same thing as mine, but we're all both engrossed and enamored by the term treasure. So we thought bringing people with us and joining us on an expedition that what might take months, but it gets down to a few hours and a few days for their purposes. Bringing them in the key moment, we've already eliminated 99% of the anomalies of no interest, and bringing to the point, building excitement, announcing the discovery with those people present. And with that, provides opportunity not only as a business model, it also provides the benefit of being able to have brand recognition, which very often you'll know about an expedition, or you heard about some shipwreck somewhere, but can't remember the name of the ship. It was just somewhere, it was down somewhere, or that guy. And so those opportunities have been left on the table for the last several decades. And I think we have the opportunity to turn that around so that when you will know the name of the ship because you were there or your friends were there.
So this is where the token offering comes in, the capital raise. How do you plan to use that money?
The capital raise is $6 million US on the INX digital security token platform. We like that as an opportunity because it allowed us to say we're really a private company, but we're on this semi-public platform. So people from all over the world can acquire those tokens, not just in the US and not just people that we could reach in person. But from that, about a third of the money is the normal go out and look for the shipwrecks, business expenses. About a third is content development, which we've never had a budget for before. That's another business. And then, of course, the media and promotional expenses to build up so more people know we exist. And the other third is some capital expenditures and professional expenses outside of the normal expenses. From that, the return to the investors is 40% of the net accumulated cash in each given year from the media and from the membership and the pay-per-view, 10% from net monetized items recovered from shipwrecks, and 5% of the license revenue. Now, those last two represent millions. If we find a shipwreck, we're not doing a shipwreck to spend $200,000 to find 200,000. They're tens of millions to hundreds of millions. And we only measure those numbers that come back to our investors. So it's the key metric for us is what do our investors get? In the case of the licensed technology, the smallest contract we would do is 3 million. So we could do multiples of those a year. So those last two categories are significant, even though the percentages are smaller, they're much bigger numbers.
So after this, the closing of that financing, then what are your plans after that?
Well, we have the milestones that we're looking for. Of course, we're a media interactive company that we're sharing this with the public. So our major goal is to get up to 1 million viewers live pay-per-view within this next 12 months or so. We have a project that we'll be announcing late this year. It's one that everybody knows the name. When we announce it, we expect not only to draw the membership and the interested viewers from the US market, but also Europe and Asia, because it is that significant. So that's the first one. That would prove us right. That would validate all of our efforts just by itself. The second is the technology. It's our already existing business model that we can generate income from. And we have a new design we'll be introducing through the Treasure Experience online. People will see it. So when we get ready to present it to our potential clients in whichever, whether it's port security or oil companies or national security clients, they'll already be able to see it. The third that we're excited about is the virtual museum. I mentioned that we're building a museum, but we have in line to have a virtual museum that not only encompasses our collections that we have and that we're recovering, but our museum partners in Central and South America and Caribbean, Europe and Asia. So we're non-threatening to them. We can go in and produce their museum collections in a VR format and share that with the public and share revenues with them, but their cultural properties stay housed in their respective locations.
Right.
And we're very excited about that. Of course, the one that everybody would ask me about what's next is a major recovery. And we've already done the discovery of ships, and we're in the process of negotiating with the various countries of origin and the location so that we can do those in a business-like manner, not spend 10 years in court. And though that would be easily 100 million or more in recovery to our company. The very smallest would be. The last one is a much coveted contract that everyone in our industry is after, has been after. And we're 2 months away from receiving that. So I expect to announce that probably late September. It's an exclusive contract in an area of the world that's target-rich environment, more than 70 known ships of interest. I'll call them treasure ships, pirate ships, historical ships, that we can not only continue to produce the live stream video, but also we can have a pretty decent return for the recovery, the net monetized recovery of items. So.
Oh, fascinating. I'd love for you to come back when you can publicly announce that and tell us what you expect with that. What a fascinating business. And I love that you've got the virtual reality so you can share this with people that, maybe can't go out and explore like you do.
And that's not really our thing, but we like it. It's one of the things all the time we were developing the Nova technology. There were other people developing processors and software unrelated to us, but we somehow were able to co-opt it, use it, borrow it, whatever, purchase it. And it made our job easier. So it's the same thing. I think we can run on parallel tracks with the VR, the metaverse. We expect to have a game, and we have no control over the outcome, but we expect to have a game called the Treasure Experience game on a metaverse platform, hopefully within the next several months. Okay. And that would be for those people that don't necessarily want the live experience, they can play the game. Yeah. So we reach that audience as well.
Very exciting. Thank you so much, Marc, for sharing that.
Thank you too, Jane.